It's my pleasure to introduce here, live on the airwaves, one of the living legends of American music, a giant of a songwriter, Robert Earl Keen, joining me. How you doing this morning, Robert?
Great. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great, and it's just such a pleasure to have you. You know, I want to say, of course, you're one of the core artists that we play here on KFan, and have been for several years, and you have so many different awards, and someone who has 21 records at this point as far as recordings. You've been a part of Texas history and the music here and the present, and so we honor your music. So happy to have you here and on the station with us and joining us by phone. One of the main reasons we wanted to talk with you and get the word out was about the greatest Christmas on earth. One of the tours that you've been doing for 15 years now?
Doing Christmas tour for 15 plus years. And had all kinds of themes. Every year we pick out a theme. Like for instance, we've had Out of This World Christmas, and we've had The Road to Christmas, those kind of things. And within that, each band member plays a song or two. Within that theme, for instance, like The Road to Christmas would be like one of the band members did Highway to Hell, things like that. So this year our theme really is The Greatest Christmas on Earth is about circus. So the songs that we do, other than what we consider our hits, The Road Goes On Forever and Feeling Good Again, those kind of things, and like as you mentioned, Corpus Christi Bay, and then of course we pretty much always wrap up the show with Merry Christmas from the Family. So it's what I would say it's not as much a Christmas show. It's about bringing the feeling of Christmas, just the community spirit of Christmas, the enjoyment of just kind of laying back, enjoying the show, and forgetting about all your troubles.
Yeah, well, I understand there's the themes of, like as you mentioned, the circus theme: lions, tigers, tightropes, clowns. Can you paint a picture without actually be a part of the performance?
Well, it's set up where there's around the proscenium. There's a tent opening, and so the stage looks like you're walking into the tent itself. And we spent a lot of effort, like making sure that the lighting's all good, and then we are using some different images. Some of them are lighting, some of them are real. Your basic lions, tigers, and bears and clowns kind of thing. So, it makes you feel like you're at a circus. So, and then when you add the music, it really does. So. That's one of the great things. I do want to mention, if I can, the fact that like the show that we're doing at the Arcadia on the 4th, if anybody purchases a ticket from now on out, or from 11/26 till 12/4, the date of the show, they get a free $100 value REK Applause for the Cause merchandise package, which includes a tee, a hat, sticker, patches, some koozies, that kind of thing.
Right.
You're getting two for here.
You get a bonus, couple bonuses, yeah.
Well,
no boxes of tampons though, I guess, in that bag.
No, left them out this year. Sorry.
Right. Well, I know
we had some supply chain issues on that one.
Right. Tariff issues, yeah. So December 4th will be the Arcadia Live Theater performance in Kerrville, and that'll be the kickoff too for the tour.
It was our last show last year, and it's our first show this year. So.
All right, and then after that we'll be in Tyler 2 days later, and then you can check out the tour online. You'll be coming back to Texas too on the 18th at the House of Blues in Dallas. A couple shows at ACL Live in Austin. I know you performed on Austin City Limits, more than once. One of them is captured on a record from New West Records. And I know that, have you played at ACL recently, or at least their new digs?
I play there at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, and I've done 6 performances at Austin City Limits. So, and one time I was the host for their Hall of Fame award. So I've been part of that pretty solidly for years and years, and it's a great venue because you not only get like a really good stage and everything, but you get all the lighting and stuff that they use for television. So it's pretty spectacular.
Right on. I know people can go to robertearlkeen.com/tour to get tickets for all that, and to, I guess, choose whatever show you want to go to. But I think what you're doing is encouraging the family to just pack up and go to all the shows.
As much as you can, Yeah. Pack up the tent, get on the train.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to mention to you, Merry Christmas from the Family is definitely, one of the great anthems, holiday anthems. And that's the first song I ever heard from you. It was in the, I think it was 1995, 96. My girlfriend's uncle at the time had a recording of yours, and he, I think it was just ripped. It wasn't even ripped onto a CD. It was on a cassette tape. And we had fun with that too. I do have an uncle Ken. I don't have a brother Ken, but he did have a wife Kay, which was crazy.
Yeah, there you go.
At the time, I was like, "Wow, you really are hitting it on all angles." Except, I grew up in Iowa instead of Texas, so
it covers it. When when it first came out, they'd say, "This is the total dysfunctional white trash Christmas." It's like, this isn't this. This is everybody's Christmas, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
That's what I wrote it about. I just felt like there wasn't a Christmas song for everybody. Not only myself, but everybody I knew. It's all kind of like it's kind of a whatever show. Anyway.
Yeah, you don't have to come from the trailer park to have a dysfunctional Christmas. That's right.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Oh, matter of fact. As a matter of fact, sometimes the other way is easier.
Even worse.
All
right. Well, that hometown show, too, it's called the Hometown Show in Kerrville, but you were born in Houston, so tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I lived out in the hill country for like 35 years, and I lived here in Kerrville. For almost 25 for that 35 years, and so it's it's my home, and I consider it that way. I even have my own saying for Kerrville: "All's well that's Kerrville." So there you go. Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of Kerrville, you just had a big event, Applause for the Cause, which was a benefit concert, the Texas Flood benefit concert, supporting those in Kerrville and who were impacted by the devastating flooding on July 4th. Tell me a little bit about the success of that benefit. How did it all work out in the end?
It worked out. It worked out better than we ever expected. The one thing is, I was supposed to play on the fourth at the river on the 4th of July, and that's when the flood happened. So right off the bat, we decided, well, what we're going to do for the rest of this tour, which went another 3 or 4 weeks, was that we're going to give all our merch sales to the Community Foundation for the Texas Hill Country, and within that discussion, we put it together with Whitewater, got all these bands. We really worked in a hurry and got it in there fast, and so we got a lineup that I don't know, be hard to match anyway. So in the end, there, Kory, we were able to raise $3.2 million.
That's incredible. Excellent work. That's great. Yeah. That's because at the time there's still many news stories too about the results and about the response to the flooding too, and how much of that is quite controversial. But in the end, it's really all about the families and helping those who suffered from it. And so
right.
And that was again for the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country.
I beg your pardon? I missed that part.
And that was for the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country, too.
Yeah, for the Texas Hill Country. Yeah, and we chose them because they were. I talked to quite a few people around town, and they all pointed towards them and also gave them, the thumbs up, 5 stars, and said they really do a really good job. So that's where we pushed all the money into their deal, and they dispersed it from there. So as far as I know. they've done a really good job at dispersing that money. And also, I certainly never got into all of the, I don't know, the weirdness that did become consequently as a result of the flooding. But what my thought was like, we were going to just do as much as we could for as long as we can. So that's what we've been doing. Uh-huh.
One of the things I read was that you just made a late career debut on the Grand Ole Opry. Why so much of a wait or a time span for that? Were you just not interested, or
I don't know. I lived in Nashville from '85 to '87, and I went to a lot of Grand Ole Opry shows and that sort of stuff. And I just never did think of myself so much as a Grand Ole Opry person, and certainly never did really ask if I could do that or anything. And then it just cropped up, and I was like, well, hell yeah, I want to be part of Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think it does. Some of the roots are in just pure country, but at the same time, it's it's always been for songwriters of many different kinds.
Yeah, so. No, absolutely, and the history of the Grand Ole Opry is really phenomenal, because I mean they really just started there in the Ryman and just in a church like back in somewhere of 1925, 100 years ago.
Wow.
So, yeah. So and it picked up, especially during the 40s and 50s, when you had Roy Acuff and Bill Monroe and those Hank Snow, acts like that. As a matter of fact, when I moved to Nashville in '85, Hank Snow was still alive, and I got to be at the Grand Ole Opry and watch him perform. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. It was really great.
Wow. The Hank Snow and and Bill Monroe too. And thinking about all the bluegrass players too. That's another place where you come from too, musically, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love bluegrass. I think I started out when I was a kid. About I could point at 14 as the year that most people really either become players or they become like that. That's where they've created their own identity with music. And that's where it takes off. Like about 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I was about 14 years old, and I got into listened to all the other stuff growing up, but I got really in just loving Bob Wills and Texas swing. And then when I got into college, I'm kind of a purist, so I thought, what's a more pure form, and bluegrass is really a pure form, because you're just talking about 3 or 4 people, standing up there with a guitar, dobro, mandolin, bass, and playing and singing, and it's just it just doesn't get any clearer and cleaner than that. And I just learned a lot of bluegrass stuff, played a lot of bluegrass. I was in a bluegrass band, the whole deal. So, I love bluegrass music to this day. So, and fortunately, there's kind of resurgence, with people like Tyler and Billy Strings and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's really has come up. And what's really great about it is they're not just playing old bluegrass songs like we were. They're making up some really great new songs.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Sort of modernizing it, but at the same time keeping it within the tradition.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, I wanted to mention too that you, for those that don't know who are listening, by the way, we're in case you just tuned in, we're speaking with Robert Earl Keen and talking about his Christmas tour coming up. Which is dubbed as the greatest Christmas on earth. And so it's going to be a circus-themed Christmas party. And you can be a part of that from December 4th to 21st. You can get your tickets. And I wanted to go back to Kerrville, though, because I know there was an appearance at Kerrville in the 80s that you had at the Kerrville Folk Festival. Right. You won a new songwriter competition. Would you consider that a turning point in your career?
I would say that was a huge stepping stone in my career, because, up to that point I'd written some songs and played them a little bit around town when I lived at A&M in College Station and that kind of thing. And then I moved to Austin. And so, it's called the New Folk Songwriting Award. And, when I won that, I'll tell you what, I don't think I've ever been more excited in my life. I don't know if it was a real turning point, but it certainly made me feel like, I could step up with some of the people that were popular back then would be like Jimmy Dale and Butch Hancock, Joe Ely, those kind of guys and stuff. So I felt like I could definitely get on stage with those kind of Steve Fromholtz, those kind of people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I guess you were
great. It was great. But I tell you what, when you just mentioned it, I was like, I can remember how excited I was. I was just totally jumping up and down.
Wow, that's so awesome. And I guess you had a relationship too with Lyle Lovett at the time, being from Texas A&M, and so was he there too with you? Or I guess you were playing.
No, he wasn't there that year, and I think he won either the year before or the year after that I did. So, but Lyle and I, we went to A&M at the same time. He was a journalism major. I was an English major. There is some myth about we lived together. We didn't live together. He lived about, half a block away from me. But we spent tons and tons of time together. And he was the first person I ever met that, had his own recording device and could, put on a bass part and a guitar part and a vocal and harmony part. And I was just enthralled with the whole idea of that. And then, we just did regular old, student stuff, which was just walk around and talk about where we were going to play and what girls we liked. So it was, we had a great, and we literally graduated sitting next to each other because I'm K and he's L on the same day. So,
right.
So we share a lot of memories.
Right on. Yeah, and your music's completely different too. That's what I think is interesting too.
Yeah, well, it was interesting to me when he showed up after about 6 months, and he'd been in Europe for a little while, and then he was in Arizona working with this full band, full like a Western swing band, and he went into Arizona and recorded all that stuff, and we're just like all of our stuff up to that time was like kind of guitar, vocal, kind of folky kind of stuff. And, he showed up with this tape that just sounded like somebody in New York City had made it. And I just went, oh, my God, look, there's my friend. Look at this. Look at what he can do.
Oh, right on. One thing I wanted to ask you about, too, was you're developing a photography book that focuses on your guitar collection. Yeah, tell me a little bit about your guitar collection and how big it is and what's in it.
Well, I have about 75 guitars, and and what they are is like I have a few sets of things that real guitar enthusiasts might be interested in. Like I have 7 mid-60s Dakota Red Fender electric guitars, which includes a bass and a couple other things. But also I have a guitar that Jerry Jeff owns, and I have a guitar that Norman Blake, who is my hero.
Oh, wow.
I have some really, and then I have some really fabulous Collings acoustics and electrics, and so it's a little bit spread out. It wasn't like I sat around and decided just to go with one sort of guitar. I've got electrics and acoustics and all kinds of baritones and all kinds of stuff. So, but all of them have have some real significance. I always picked out stuff that I thought was cool and somewhat unique, and so when we're making this book, I'd say out of the 75, about 40 of them are going to be in the book, and there's going to be an index of all of them in the back of the book.
Wow.
So you can see what I got.
That's great too, because I don't think a lot of, folks think of you more as a songwriter than a guitar player. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll be
right. Well, they'd be right about that. I'll tell you that. That's a constant struggle with me. I love great guitar players, and I do actually, practice. That's one of the things that I try to keep up with. And over the years, I've actually gotten to be a lot better electric lead guitar player than I ever thought I would be. So
cool.
That's kind of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I know one of your guitar players, one who's been with you for many years, was Rich Brotherton.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
we have 6 degrees of separation. He was also someone who joined me on the stage with Todd Snyder for one show at, I think it was Green Hall. So I got a chance to play with him too for about 15 minutes.
Yeah. Great guitar player.
Yeah.
Great guitar player.
So your podcast too, one of the cool things about what you do for that and social media and everything is introducing new artists, as you mentioned earlier, like Tyler Childers and Billy Strings. And it's called Americana Podcast. Tell me a little bit about the focus of that.
We started that. We're on our 6th year. Primarily, it's always been guitar. Singer-songwriters. However, every once in a while we talk to some industry folks and things like that. However, this year we have broadened our horizons, so we're considering Americana more as almost a lifestyle, and we're including food people, fashion people, movie people. All of this stuff is coming up in the next. Some of it's come up this year. More of it's going to be coming up next year. We put it out once a month. It's at the last Tuesday of the month. We put out a new episode. However, because of about Todd, because Todd passed away this past week, we are going to re-release an episode I did with Todd back during COVID, because it was one of the very first remotes that I ever did. We used to track people down and still do, and talk to everybody face to face. But this one I did remotely, and also it was one of my absolute favorite episodes, and it was a lot of fans' favorite episodes. So this next episode comes out on the 27th, and it's our episode that I did with Todd Snyder. So
excellent.
You can tune into that. It's really, really great. Like I said, it was my favorite interview ever. Because, also, you said earlier, I was friends with Todd, so we had a lot to mash over.
Yeah, and I know that as I mentioned to you off air about how when I played with Todd, we played Corpus Christi Bay in Corpus Christi, and at the time I thought it was his song, and then he announced from the stage after that it was your song. Shows how much I knew at the time, but it was but I also know that you meant a lot to him. He had a deep admiration for you and appreciation for you and your work. So,
well, definitely, Kory, definitely a mutual admiration society there.
Right on.
I love Todd, I thought he's just flat out a genius. It's really, really unbelievable.
Yeah. So again, that podcast is called Americana Podcast, and you can check that out anytime. So, man, it's been so great talking with you. Before I go, I just wanted to ask what you're up to next. If you're working on any new recordings or.
Yeah, new recording. Going to have a new record out in 26. It's called The Wailing War. WAILING War. The Wailing War.
The Wailing War. All right. And is that because I was going to ask you too about content, writing songs and how you approach songs. I mean, this is probably more of a longer conversation than it needs to be, but I just wanted to know if there was any sort of approach to songwriting that differs maybe, because you have so many songs and so many records, you've been doing it for so many years, as far as topics or current events or personal life experiences. Is there any different way that you approach songwriting, or what stories you tell?
I still approach it somewhat in a similar manner. I never have any rules about subject matter, and I don't even have any rules totally about format. However, my I hate this term, but my wheelhouse, as they call it, is the narrative or the quote unquote story song.
Yeah.
The Wailing War is very heavy in that. As a matter of fact, I did one that I call the Odyssey. It's a 12-minute thing, and in the middle of it, I sang Ray Wiley Hubbard's song "The Dust of the Chase," and I created the character that was the younger character of the Dust of the Chase character, and then I at the end of it, I created an ending for this same character. So it's a 12-minute Odyssey.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's not going to be like a hit because nobody plays 12-minute songs anymore. But
Right.
it's a hell of a. It was really fun to do that. And I just sort of did it accidentally. I wrote this one song and I realized this is really like the Dust and the Chase. This really fits like as a precursor to the Dust and the Chase. So I called Ray up and asked him if I could do that, and he said okay.
I think that's excellent too, and I think it's interesting because I think that kind of ties into how the music industry and radio, all that is so different now that you might as well just go ahead and tell the story you want to tell without worrying about how many people are going to be playing it on the radio or downloading it.
I can't worry about that.
Yeah,
I got too much other things to worry about.
Right on. Robert Earl Keen joining us here at 107.9 The Fan and the greatest Christmas on earth that you can be a part of. Heck, go on the whole tour with him. Starts on December 4th. It starts at Arcadia Live Theater right here in Kerrville, Texas, in the Hill Country. And so thanks again for joining us, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Kory.
All right, yeah, and I'm going to take us out with something from No Kinda Dancer. Was this your very first official recording?
Yeah.
Rounder Records?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
All right.
Uh-huh.
We're going to listen to the Front Porch song.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon. We'll speak soon.
You do the same. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right, bye. That's Robert Earl Keen joining us by phone here at KFan. Texas Rebel Radio. Here's the Front Porch song.
This old porch is just a big old red and white Hereford bull standing under a mesquite tree. Nowadays in Texas, he just keeps on playing hide and seek with that hot August sun. He's sweating and a panting 'cause his work is never done. Oh no, he's got them cows and that red top cane. This old porch is just a steaming greasy plate of enchiladas with lots of cheese and onions and a guacamole salad. You can get 'em at the La Salle Hotel in old downtown with iced tea and a waitress who will smile every time. Yes, she will. I left a quarter tip on my $10 bill. This old porch is a palace walk-in on a main street in Texas. It ain't never seen or heard today a GNR and X's with the 62 poster that's almost faded down and a screen without a picture since John came to town. Oh no, I love them Junior Mints and them Red Hots too. Yes I do. Oh yeah, and old movie pictures. This old porch is just a weathered gray-haired 70 years of Texas. He's doing all he can not to give in to the city, and he always takes a rent late so long as I run his cattle. He picks me up at dinner time. I listen to him rattle. He says the Brazos still runs muddy like she's run all along. There ain't never been no cane to grind. The cotton's all gone, and you know this Chevrolet pickup truck, she was something back in '60. Now there ain't nobody listen to him 'cause they all think he's crazy. This old porch just a long time waiting and forgetting and remembering the coming back, not crying about the leaving, and remembering the falling down and the laughter of the curse of luck from all those sons of bitches who said we never get back up. This old porch is just a big old red and white Hereford bull standing under a mesquite tree. Out in Nowadays, he just keeps on playing hide and seek with that hot August sun. He's sweating and a panting 'cause his work is never done. Oh no, I known a whole lot of old bulls in my life, and their work is never done. The evening sun was singing down, a chill north wind it blows. The new plowed ground was cooling fast, the river rolls and flows beneath the two-lane concrete river bridge between my place and town. On that hotbed farm to market road they call 1291. I'm saying, son, you'll see me searching, sizzling down that broad highway. Dollar signs in both my eyes, I'm seeking out my prey. I'm praying, Jesus, will you send me just another 3 or 4? They pay $2.50 down in Hallettsville, $3, maybe more, and more than likely they'll be out tonight, wandering from the farm, waddling down 1291 to keep their bodies warm. I'm talking walking belts and neckties and boots for rodeo. They don't run too fast, don't waste much gas. I'm making lots of dough. The armadillo, oh, the armadillo, oh, the armadillo never sees me when I hit him with my brights. His life don't pass before his eyes, he's blinded by my lights. And so I hit him with my bumper, doing 60, 65. They take 'em frozen down in Hallettsville, they don't take 'em alive. The jackal cried, the jackal cried, the jackal cried. Look, there's 2 of them walking down the line. I can't believe my luck tonight, this here makes 29. And so he rode the first one running, the second was too fast. His brakes and laughter squealing as he stomped down on the gas. Good God, his car was sideways flying when the bridge walk met his door. The impact shook the riverbed, his foot went through the floor. Forevermore, forevermore, oh, forevermore was his last moment. From the bridge walk to the stream, from the speckled blood around his smile to spewing gasoline. And then he screamed his raspy epitaph before he turned to flame. They pay $2.50 down in Hallettsville, I ain't the one to blame. Ain't it a shame? The jackal cried, the armadillo, oh, the armadillo, oh.